Hello, this is Dundas once again, the Managing Director of Linguagenesis Limited at www.linguagenesis.org.uk. Now, in this brief video clip, what I'm going to give very briefly is a list of words. And these words are intended for those people who are learning Spanish, and exclusively Spanish, to see how many of these words they actually know in the target language. In other words, how many of them can you translate? So what I will do is I'll give each of these words in groups, and I'll pause after each group, and then I will commence with another group of words. So here's the first group. How would you say each of these words? Strong, severe, bad, intense, loud, violent, heated, shocking, tightly, loudly, big. Now there were 11 words on that list. Here comes the second group. Ugly, unflattering, plain, disgusting, unpleasant, awful, terrible, nasty, bad, disdainful, snub, inconsiderate. 12 words in that group. One more group. To do, to make, to build, to dig, to bake, to draw up, to brew, to perform, to carry out, to ask, to back, to pretend, to be, to act, to conduct, to make out. There were 16 words in that group. So altogether I've given you there maybe some 40 words more or less in English, and the question is, how many of those 40 words or / phrases can you translate into the target language, in this case Spanish? The reality is that despite the number of words which I've just given you there, it would theoretically be possible, and you would generally come across this in the spoken language. Each of the words in the separate three groups could be translated into Spanish using just the one word. So let's just briefly take a look at these once more. To do, to make, to build, to dig, to bake, to draw, etc. All to be translated using hacer. When you make something, you do something. When you build, you make something. When you bake, you make a cake. When you brew beer, you make beer. When you carry out a task, you do the task. When you act, you do a performance. When you conduct, you make, do, carry out an investigation. I'll give you some other groups. Duro, which means hard, also difficult. Difficult means tough. When bread is stale, it goes hard, so duro can mean stale. Unripe, things tend to be hard when they're unripe, such as, give you some examples. Tomatoes is a good example. Harsh and rough both mean hard. Hard-boiled means hard. If someone has a husky voice, then it's also rough, which we can then apply to harsh and then back to hard. And it's also the name for the old 5 peseta coin. Just one more group. Bueno. Bueno used to mean good. Good quality. Well behaved. If you're on your good behaviour, on best behaviour, you're well behaved. It can also be an interjection for okay, right then, well then, fair enough. Also, if something is good, it's effective. If a person is good, they're kind or nice. And the word also means fresh. So if something is fresh, it's obviously good quality. So the point which I'm trying to make with this particular video is that despite the number of words which exist in English and also in foreign languages as well, we can reduce potentially the number of words that we have to learn and which we might hear in general spoken conversation in the foreign language to be able to get across any point that we wish to make. So that was the intention, to show learners that there is no need to become too overwhelmed with the thousands upon thousands of words which exist in a foreign language, only a small number of which you would need to be able to converse with somebody, express basic points, sustain a conversation, and also simply be able to, let's say, maintain, get the feeling that you do have a sufficient vocabulary in order to be able to express yourselves.